I knew something was wrong the moment my phone buzzed before sunrise. And it was not a client emergency this time. It was worse. It was silence where there should have been chaos, and in my world, silence usually meant someone had made a decision they did not understand. By the time I poured my first cup of coffee, the kind that tasted like burnt ambition and long nights, I already had that heavy feeling in my chest. The kind that tells you your life is about to split into before and after, whether you are ready for it or not. My name is Claire Bennett, and for nearly a decade I was the person everyone called when things fell apart. I was not the loudest voice in the room or the one chasing titles, but I was the one who made everything work. I kept million-dollar clients calm, fixed disasters before they reached the surface, and made complicated systems run so smoothly that no one noticed the effort behind them. That was my job, and honestly, I took pride in being invisible as long as things stayed stable. One Monday morning, around 9, I was already deep into damage control before most people had even finished their first coffee. A federal contractor had suddenly started questioning reports from over a decade ago, and the client was spiraling. I stayed calm, as always, reassuring them, digging through archives, and stitching together answers before panic could spread. That was just another day for me. I had spent years becoming the steady hand that held everything together, especially for our biggest account, a massive energy client worth hundreds of millions. That client was not just important, it was the backbone of the company. We were dealing with federal regulations, environmental compliance, and layers of oversight that could collapse everything if handled incorrectly. And somehow, I made it all look easy. I knew every clause, every amendment, every tiny detail buried in years of contracts. I did not need recognition. I just needed things to run correctly. But somewhere along the way, that quiet reliability turned into something dangerous. It made people forget how essential I really was. Things started shifting when Vanessa Cole entered the picture. She was the CEO's daughter, newly promoted into an executive role she had not earned. She walked through the office like she belonged at the top, even though she barely understood the basics of what we did. Her ideas were flashy but empty, and she had a habit of interrupting critical meetings with suggestions that made seasoned professionals stare in disbelief. I tried to stay out of her way, but she kept drifting closer to my work, especially my clients. At first, it was small things. She would sit in meetings, uninvited, or ask questions that showed she had no understanding of the stakes. One time, during a serious discussion about infrastructure compliance, she casually asked if the facilities included customer perks like service packages. I had to smooth things over while the client sat there in stunned silence. I told myself it was temporary, that she would eventually step back, but deep down I knew better. People like her do not step back. They push forward until something breaks. The breaking point came on a Thursday evening, right after I had successfully secured approval on a major project. I was still writing the quiet satisfaction of a job well done when a meeting notification appeared on my calendar. There was no subject, no explanation, just a time and a room number. My instincts kicked in immediately. After years in that environment, you learn to recognize when something is off. This was not a routine meeting. This was something else entirely. When I walked into the room, Vanessa was already there, sitting confidently, with HR beside her. The atmosphere felt staged, like a performance I had not been told about. She greeted me with a rehearsed tone, and within moments, she began explaining that my role was being restructured. The words were polished, but the meaning was clear. I was being pushed out. Just like that, after years of holding everything together, I was no longer part of their future. I did not argue. I did not raise my voice. I simply asked one direct question, and when she confirmed it, I accepted the answer. There was something almost surreal about the moment, like watching a slow motion collapse that no one else seemed to recognize yet. They handed me a severance envelope, and I glanced through it without emotion. It felt less like an ending and more like the beginning of something they did not understand. I walked back to my desk with a calm I did not entirely feel. I packed only what mattered, leaving behind everything else. No dramatic goodbye, no emotional outburst. I had learned long ago that silence can be more powerful than any reaction. As I left the building, I passed Vanessa in the hallway. She did not even notice me. That was the moment I realized she had no idea what she had just done. When I got home, I did what I always do when something does not feel right. I opened my laptop and started reviewing the contracts. Not casually, but carefully, line by line, clause by clause. 6 months earlier, during a major compliance review, I had pushed for a specific amendment. It was not about ego, it was about stability. The client had insisted on continuity, and I made sure it was documented properly. My name was written directly into the agreement as the required liaison. That clause changed everything. According to the contract, removing me without the client's approval was not just a staffing decision. It was a breach, a serious one, the kind that could trigger immediate consequences, including termination of the entire agreement. And that agreement was worth more than most people in that building could even comprehend. I did not act out of anger, I acted out of responsibility. I drafted a precise, professional email outlining the situation and attached the relevant documents. I sent it to internal legal teams and quietly included the client's general counsel. There was no emotion in that message, just facts, clear, undeniable facts. The next morning, everything unraveled exactly as I expected. Inside the company, panic spread quickly. Executives scrambled to understand what had happened, digging through records and trying to find a way out. But there was no easy fix. The clause was valid, the signatures were real, and the mistake had already been made. Calls were missed, meetings disrupted, and the client went silent in a way that was far more dangerous than any complaint. Meanwhile, I was sitting at a quiet cafe across town, meeting with someone who understood exactly what this meant. Daniel Park, a senior consultant with deep experience in high-level accounts, listened as I explained the situation. He did not look surprised. Instead, he smiled slightly, the way professionals do when they recognize a perfectly executed situation. He asked me a simple question: did I want to step back into the situation on my own terms? I took a moment before answering. For the first time in years, I was not reacting to a crisis. I was deciding my next move. And that felt different, that felt powerful. Back at the company, the situation escalated quickly. The board became involved, financial projections were reevaluated, and the potential losses were staggering. The leadership team realized too late that they had not just removed an employee, they had destabilized the entire structure. Then came the final shift. The client made their decision. Instead of cutting ties completely, they chose continuity. But not through the company, through me. They announced that all future work would be handled through my independent consultancy. My name, my expertise, my structure, the same work, but under my control. The reaction inside the company was not loud. It was something quieter and heavier. The kind of silence that follows a realization you cannot undo. Vanessa tried to push back, but it was too late. The contracts spoke for themselves, the decisions had already been made. As for me, I did not celebrate. I did not feel the need to prove anything, I simply moved forward. I set up my firm, established my terms, and continued doing what I had always done, just without the limitations that had once held me back. In the end, I did not need revenge, I did not need recognition. All I needed was the truth written in black and white, exactly where it mattered. Because sometimes the most powerful move is not fighting back. It is letting the consequences speak for you.